Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Danny, and I'm starting a new YouTube channel known as E-Bike Adventures with Freight Dog Danny. Like I said, I'm Danny. I'm a retired Air Force pilot and also a retired airline pilot who, for both the military and the airlines, I flew freight all over the world, hence the name Freight Dog Danny. I live in Eaton, Ohio, which is in Preble County, and that's in southwest Ohio. We're about 20 or 25 miles west of Dayton, Ohio, and only about 12 miles from Richmond, Indiana, at the Ohio-Indiana state line. I've only had my e-bike for about a month and a half, and I'm learning as I go along, so I decided to start a YouTube channel. I got a GoPro camera, so I'm not only learning about e-biking, I'm learning how to use this camera and how to edit the videos and post up to YouTube. This will be my first video. And right now we are in Fort St. Clair, which is a fort that was built after the Revolutionary War in 1792. The town of Eaton, where it's located, didn't get founded until 1806, and the fort was a site of a minor skirmish with the Indians that did result in the deaths of 6 soldiers, and they are buried right here in this park. Both Indiana and Ohio are blessed with some really nice bike paths, but Preble County, for some reason, doesn't have any, so we have very few places where we can safely ride off the roads. So Fort St. Clair is one of them, and so I try to make the most of it. But a lot of these bike paths and parks are historic, and since I'm a armchair historian, or a history buff, if you will, we're going to try to cover as many of them as we can. This channel is going to be about e-biking in general. It's a little bit of physical fitness and health, and a little bit of history as well. I got my inspiration for this channel from a fella named Russ, and he has a YouTube channel called Russ Is Right. I highly recommend you look him up. I'm 67 years old. Russ is 64, I believe. And we'll also touch on some considerations for seniors in getting an e-bike, whether or not you should, what you should look for, and some of the pitfalls and hazards. Got a little hill that I'm going up here, and I try not to use the throttle at all, but that's what it's for. If you'd find yourself getting worn out, the throttle is there to carry you over. Class 1 e-bikes do not have a throttle, but they do have pedal assist. Some have multiple gears, and others are just one speed, and they're limited to 20 miles an hour. The Class 2 e-bike does have a throttle, also has pedal assist, and most of them have gears. The bike that I'm on, out of the box, is a Class 2, but through the phone app, you can disable the speed restriction. It'll carry you up to 28 miles an hour with motor assist. This e-bike that I'm on, it's an Adventure, and it has 8 gears, a 750 watt motor, which peaks out at somewhere over 1100 watts, and that's what's going to help carry you over those hills. Since this electric bike, naturally it has a battery. This one has a battery that's bigger than most. This is a 48 watt, 20 ampere hours, which gives you a little more range or the ability to haul a bigger load. I'm somewhere north of 260 pounds, so that's a pretty good load for an e-bike. You can probably tell by the rate that I'm breathing that yes, I'm getting some exercise. If you want to only use your throttle, you can, but that's just going to decrease your range and you're not getting any exercise. The pedal assist is there for the motor to kick in to give you a little boost as you pedal. Now naturally, as you keep going faster, if you don't change gears, you're not going to have much resistance, and you get into a condition that they call ghost pedaling, where you're spinning the pedals but there's no resistance, and once again you're not getting any exercise. Some e-bikes have what's known as a cadence sensor, and this is what most of them are, and this is what this e-bike has, and it simply senses when you're pedaling, and the motor will kick in to give you a little boost. The other sensor, known as a torque sensor, senses how much effort you're putting into the pedaling. And so you're going to get a lot more of a workout because you have to work harder to get the motor to kick in. What we're going to do today, I'm taking 3 rounds around Fort St. Clair. This will be the last one. Then we're going to go to 2 of the 8 covered bridges that we have here in Preble County. If you recall that movie from several years ago, The Bridges of Madison County, starring Meryl Streep and Clint Eastwood, it focused on Madison County, Iowa, and all their covered bridges. Well, I think that county only has like 5 or 6 bridges, and we've got 8, 6 of which are still in use for vehicular traffic every day. Now, 2 of them had been damaged, one by vandalism, one by a storm, and the citizens of Preble County opted to have those 2 bridges relocated to parks, and so they don't see any vehicular traffic, just foot traffic. We have another bridge, a 3rd one, where some knucklehead tried to drive a big truck through it and hit the structure and damaged it significantly, and it's still under repair. It should be up and running sometime this year, I hope. And this is about a 14-mile round trip with 6 miles round trip between the bridges. So once we hit the road for the bridges, I'm going to turn off the camera to keep this video a little bit shorter. I'll turn it back on when we get about a 1/4 mile or a 1/2 mile from each bridge. Now, the only time I use the throttle, unless I really have to, is when you first get started, because most e-bikes are between 65 and 80 pounds. This one, empty weight, is about 73 pounds. Then you add to that my big butt, and it can be a little bit of a chore to get started. So you just give it about a 2-second goose of the throttle, and that gets you moving and pedaling, and you're on your way. The other time, if I'm crossing an intersection with some road traffic, then just to get across that intersection, I'll give it a little goose of power to get me across and out of the way of any traffic. And then, as always, like I said, if you're finding a hill that's just too much for you, you can use that throttle to get you across. Now, a lot of e-bikes have as little as a 350 watt motor. Like I said, this one is 750 watt. And then there's a lot of them that's only about 500. You know, if you're not going to be on a lot of hills, or if you're not a big boy like me, you might be able to get by on that 350 or the 500 watt motor. Or if you're just going to be cruising around your neighborhood and not going up and down a lot of hills, you may find that 350 or 500 watt motor is going to be just fine. Okay, we're going to head out of the park now, whereupon I will demonstrate my philosophy on stop signs. And admittedly, I got this philosophy from Russ of Russ's Right videos. He got his start when he had a knee replacement, and he got an e-bike to help him get some exercise. And he has evolved into a very prolific e-bike online or YouTube influencer. He's got over 400 videos. I think he's over 15,000 followers. And he puts out sometimes as many as 6 videos in a week, but I think he's slowing down a little bit, and he's doing a little bit less than that, but he's still putting out a lot. So I highly recommend you looking for Russ's Right on YouTube. Okay, we're going to cross the road here. Looks like it's clear. Hi. That's kind of a short turn, so I'm going to turn around. But the philosophy on the stop signs is rather than stop, you slow down and make sure that there's no traffic coming. And if it's clear, just keep moving, scoot on across that intersection. Because, again, because these bikes are so heavy, if you come to a complete stop, particularly if it's sudden, you may fall down. And if you happen to be one of those people like Russ was, with limited mobility, having just had a knee replacement, his left side where he had the knee replacement was very weak, and he had fallen 2 or 3 times. And so he decided to modify his stop sign philosophy. Bottom line is you want to remain safe, but if it's clear, keep moving. Okay, we are on our way to the first covered bridge. That's the Chrisman covered bridge, which goes across 7 Mile Creek. And it's about a 3-mile ride. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'll see you when we approach the Chrisman Bridge. Okay guys, as advertised, we're on our way to the Chrisman Bridge, about a half-mile away. So we got the camera back on and we're recording. I know I'm on the wrong side of the road, but nothing's coming, and this is where I got to turn in. And this is the 7 Mile Park because it's located on 7 Mile Creek. And it's one of the few places where you can safely ride a bike here, along with Fort St. Clair. I've just recently ventured out into the traffic, and I'm getting more and more comfortable with it. I don't know if you can see, but I've got on day glow orange with reflective tape. I've got a strobe light on the front of the bike, and I got a red flashing strobe light on the rear of the bike, as well as my day glow yellow helmet also has red flashing lights on the back. And I'm also wearing a yellow safety vest on top of this day glow orange shirt. The name of the game out here when you're in traffic is to be seen. Okay, coming up to another 4-way stop. I think one of the local factories just let out. That's why we got a lot of traffic right now. And we're off again. Now there's a house at 12 o'clock just as we enter the bridge. I'll point it out to you as we get closer, that a friend of mine owns, and that house was built in 1826. The bridge itself, Christmas Bridge, was built in 1895. And this is one of the bridges that gets regular traffic. Okay, the brick house now at 12 o'clock. That's behind the trees. That's the house that was built in 1826. We're going to make a left turn there, and the Christmas Bridge will be right in front of us. And my friend that owns a house, they found numerous Indian artifacts in their yard along the banks of the 7 Mile Creek. Okay, here we go. This is the Christmas Bridge, again built in 1895. And we just go down here to this first driveway, and we'll do a 180 and go back through the bridge from the other side. Okay, no traffic behind me, none in front of me. It's these slow 180s that can get you in trouble. So I'm going to take advantage of the wide space of this driveway. There we go. Now it's been said that if you're going to fall, it's going to be when you stop, or if you do one of those slow 180s and try to turn too tight, or if you have the misfortune of taking a turn too tight and going off the edge of the path. And I'm moving up on 100 miles. Today should be my 100th mile since I've been e-biking, and I haven't fallen yet. I've had a couple of close calls. But if mobility is a big issue for you, if you've had a hip replacement or knee replacement, you can use an e-bike to help get you back in shape, but you be very, very careful while you're doing it. So that you don't fall. And if it looks like you're gonna fall, like right now, I've got a nice patch of grass to the right. If you know you're going to fall, try to make it a controlled one and fall in something soft. Got somebody coming up behind me. Most of the cars would do you a favor if they can and give you as much room as they possibly can, but when you have oncoming traffic that they have to negotiate, that's when they might get a little bit close. So stick as close to the shoulder of the road as you can. As you can see, there is no shoulder on this road. So I got to try to hug this white line when the traffic's coming and just hope that it's not a semi that blows me off into the ditch. Going back to our four-way stop. Once we get established in 7 Mile Park again, I'll turn the camera off, and then we go on to the Roberts Bridge. Okay, that truck just made kind of a rolling stop, and that's exactly what we're doing. Okay, we got about 2.5–3 miles to get to the Roberts Bridge. So I'm going to turn off the camera and we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay folks, welcome back. We're approaching the Roberts Bridge, which is a double-barreled or two-lane covered bridge. And this was one of them that was damaged, I think by vandalism and a fire, and they moved it to this park. And they have a nice handy-dandy sign up next to the bridge so we can stop and I'll read it to you. This is a real nice little park with a spill water that goes underneath the bridge. And we got some goose traffic with some babies. Okay, this bridge, the Roberts Bridge, built in 1829 and restored in 1991. It's the Ohio's oldest and only standing double-barreled covered bridge and the oldest of 6 remaining in the nation. It was relocated and restored in 1991 through the generous support of the community and the efforts of the Roberts Bridge Restoration Committee. How about that? Okay, let's go ahead and go through the bridge. And we'll go down here and get turned around. And this is where you can screw yourself up in a fall maneuvering these heavy bikes. Okay, there's that gorgeous spillway with some waterfowl. Just beautiful. Excuse me. Okay, from here, I'll just keep the camera on and we'll chat a little bit more throughout the rest of my ride. Just a short hop back to Fort St. Clair. We're going to go down the road and go around the high school, go through a little neighborhood that I like, and then go around the new section of the Mound Hill Cemetery. Then we'll be done for the day. Get back on the sidewalk here. Pardon me. I think I've sucked in some pollen that's bothering me. Let me get a drink of water. Like I said a little while ago, the town of Eaton was established in 1806, so the graves in the cemetery go back pretty much to that time. There was another altercation with the Indians that I think occurred in 1793 or 4, And it's only about a quarter mile from my house, where there was a pack train of about 70 horses led by a group of soldiers. I'm not sure how many. I don't know if it was a total massacre, but the Indians caught them watering their horses at a place called Ludlow Spring, and 13 soldiers were killed, and they're buried in this older section of the Mound Hill Cemetery that we're about to pass. And on future videos we'll go through that. Thank you, folks.
Sorry.
No problem. On Halloween, or around the time of Halloween, the Preble County Historical Society runs a walking tour through the cemetery, giving a lot of its history. And then they have you go out to the Preble County Historical Society, that's about 9 miles south of here. And they have an old farmstead that they decorate up for a wake. In the old days, before there were funeral parlors, you would have your wake to make sure you were dead in your home. So that's kind of a neat and spooky tour that we got to go on one year. We're gonna have to do it again. Okay, here's the exit to Fort St. Clair, just across the road. And now we're going to speed up to go up by the high school, around it, around that neighborhood I told you about, and the new part of the cemetery. And like I said, that should be right at about 14 miles, and that's going to put me over the 100-mile mark for my e-biking thus far. Now, one of the things you'll notice as you're shopping for an e-bike is they still have girls' bikes and boys' bikes, only they don't call them that anymore. But being my age and generation that I came from, I sure as hell didn't want a girl's bike. Afternoon. And I took my initial test ride on this bike. Didn't have any problem. Swung my leg over without any trouble. But after I started riding and getting used to it, I found that I was sore. I found that I could no longer swing my leg over the top of the bike. And I also have a bag on the back the back rack, rear rack of the bike, which sticks up about another 1.5 inches or 2 inches above the seat. So I was finding that when I was getting on and off the bike, I was dragging my thigh across that bag. I suppose I need to do some stretching exercises. Initially, when I got the bike, I could ride one day and I'd have to wait a week due to weather. And so, just as soon as my muscles were getting accustomed to it, I had to stop riding. Afternoon. No problem. She probably had her earbuds in or something. But anyway, had I to do it over again, I think I would go for the girls' bike. Now they now call them a girls' bike. What we would call a girls' bike is now called a step through, and the more traditional boys' bike with the top bar or the down tube going across the top is called a step over. So being that I'm 67 years old, not in very good physical condition, that step through didn't look so feminine. But it is a consideration when you're shopping for an e-bike. Also, a lot of e-bikes are being sold online, meaning that you're buying the bike sight unseen. I don't recommend that at all. Not all bike shops carry e-bikes, but I highly recommend you finding one. Do a little research, watch some videos, and actually test ride a variety of bikes before you settle on one and buying it from some guy in China on a brand that you've never heard of before. You will find some e-bikes made by some of the companies that we grew up with, but there's not very many. Most of the bikes come from China. There is one American company that manufactures the bikes here in the US, and that is called the Electric Bike Company, not to be confused with the Electric Bike Company, which is just electric with an L. Those bikes are made in China, and they do not have a dealer network. But the Electric Bike Company does. Parts network, dealer support network. They're manufactured in the United States, and their batteries are even made in-house. And something unheard of in this industry, the bikes carry a 10-year warranty on the bike and on the battery. No, I'm sorry. 10-year warranty on the bike and the motor, and the battery has a 5-year warranty. And that alone, they're going to sell a lot of bikes. So I wish I would have heard about them before I bought this one. I'm very happy with my purchase, but had I known about the Electric Bike Company, I would have definitely taken a hard look at them. But I think if you look at the different e-bikes that are on Amazon, then read the reviews, read all of them. You'll find a lot of glowing 1- and 2-star reviews, and my gut feeling is that this is from people that were very excited about their purchase, pulled it out of the box, put it together, and wrote it 1 or 2 times, and then wrote that glowing review. Start looking at the 1-, 2-, and 3-star reviews, and you'll see a very different story. Mostly with non-existent customer service and inability to get parts, or can't even get anybody to communicate with them. So I went to the Whitman's Bike Shop in Miamisburg, Ohio. They've been in business for 41 years, and they stand behind their products. Anything goes wrong with it, I just take it back to them. I found the same thing with accessories. I was trying to save some money on different accessories for my bike. I started looking at the reviews, non-existent customer service, shoddy workmanship, and all kinds of problems. So I went ahead and bit the bullet and paid a little bit higher price from Whitman's Bike Shop. And that way I'm supporting a local business as well. Most of the bikes that you order online do come fully assembled. You might have to pump up the tires and put the handlebars on, but beyond that, they're pretty well assembled. But one of the companies I looked at, they recommended you buying a torque wrench to make sure everything was torqued properly. I don't want to do that. So Whitman's Bike Shop, the Aventon brand, they sell for $100 over what you could buy it for online direct from the manufacturer. And for $100, I would like to have an experienced bike mechanic go over the product and make sure everything's right. And it looks like school's letting out, so I gotta change my route. Yeah, like I was saying, for $100, they pull it out of the box, make sure everything is put together properly. There's no factory defects or damage in shipping and things of that nature. And if there is, they deal with it. And so that's worth $100 to me. Plus, like I said, I'm supporting a local small business. So do your research, watch some videos, look at all those ads, read the reviews, and don't just look at the 4- and 5-star reviews. Look at the 1-, 2-, and 3-star reviews, and you might be able to avoid some problems. There's numerous YouTube videos on reviews of different manufacturers. Naturally, most of them come out of China, and they're companies that we've never heard of. They're very young companies. Let me watch myself here. Here we go. So if you don't want to pull your hair out dealing with a bike that you can't return, with a Chinese guy that you can't even talk to, and parts that you can't get, buy from a brick and mortar bike shop. Additionally, there's a lot of bike shops that if you don't buy the bike from them, they won't work on it. Now, I'm fortunate here, one company and one bike shop in Richmond, Indiana, and Whitman's bike shop where I bought my bike, does work on other people's bikes, and they'll help you out as best they can, but they run into the same problems that you do when they can't get anybody to respond to their emails or answer telephone calls. So again, I highly advise doing business with a brick and mortar shop. Now also, one of Russ's Wright's videos said the REI sporting goods store that are all over the country, they will work on your bike regardless of whether you bought it from them or not also. So you can just keep that in mind. If you're a do-it-yourselfer and you want to do that, go ahead, take your chances, but like I said, do your research and find a reputable bike company and one where you've seen all the reviews and see what somebody who speaks English has to say about them. Okay, here's this nice little neighborhood I always enjoy going through. It's not very long, but it's a nice, well-kept, quiet neighborhood, and it just adds to the area where I can safely ride my bike, and add about a half mile to my total distance. I don't know if you can tell or not, but other than short periods of coasting, I've been pedaling all day, and where my left thumb is here, that's the throttle. Now if I stop pedaling and just kick that, you can hear the electric motor kick in, and there we go. But again, I don't use it if I can help it. Once again, just to get started, get through an intersection, and maybe if a particularly hard hill is kicking my butt, I'll use it. But beyond that, I try to pedal so I get some exercise. Okay, we're coming out of the neighborhood again. It's just a short jaunt back to Fort St. Clair in the back of my car. So what do you say, let's call it a day, and I'll see you next time. Hit the like and subscribe button, and that'll help us out. Take care.